Chapter 1. The Invisible Cage. Sit in your car for a moment. Take a deep breath. Can you feel the quiet pressure of the steering wheel? The silence in the cabin represents years of hard work, overtime, and heavy personal sacrifices. Maybe it's a vehicle you are incredibly proud of. It might be the exact car you promised yourself once you finally made it. Now, take an honest look at your bank account balance. Think about the number resting there a week before your next check hits. Open up your phone and look at the revolving credit card balance sitting on your banking app. Think about the invisible calculations you run every single day. Does that math give you a sense of peace? Does your current financial reality feel like true freedom? Or does it feel like a constant battle for basic margin? If you are sitting in that parking lot calculating your attendance points, you are not alone. Even with a high salary or an advanced degree, realizing you cannot handle an unexpected bill means you are trapped. You have been caught in the high-income poverty trap. We have all been sold the exact same cultural lie. The standard script tells us to get the degree, climb the ladder, and earn the corporate salary so stress will disappear. But we now have the concrete data to prove that this entire premise is an absolute illusion. In 2026, a staggering number of top-tier corporate earners still live paycheck to paycheck. This lifestyle vulnerability affects highly educated doctors, lawyers, and professionals who understand compound interest perfectly. Yet, 4 out of 10 people earning $500,000 annually report having no meaningful financial cushion. They experience the exact same stomach-churning financial anxiety as someone earning a tiny fraction of their salary. The data reveals that Americans earning $100,000 are more likely to report financial strain than those earning $50,000. The math works on paper, but the underlying psychology creates a quiet cage. Lifestyle inflation silently consumes every raise, every bonus, and every new income stream before your mind can even register the win. What you are witnessing is not an arithmetic problem. It is a fundamental philosophy problem. The current economic matrix is engineered to make you an efficient consumption node. The system doesn't care how much you make. It only cares about how much you keep. I was completely trapped in this exact visual performance matrix myself. 2 years ago, I was sitting at my kitchen table making a high income while staring at thousands of dollars in credit card charges. I had less than $900 resting in my savings account. I had essentially nothing to show for years of intense burnout and high corporate earning. I possessed an advanced understanding of business, but my internal operating system was fundamentally broken. I was constantly optimizing for temporary consumption rather than permanent flexibility. I didn't need a bigger paycheck to solve my problems. I needed a completely different operating system for my daily life. My journey required me to step back, lock down my privacy, and rebuild my habits behind closed doors. I had to stop performing wealth for an audience and start building true sovereignty in the dark. This video is about a total neural identity shift. I am going to show you the 10 core blueprints that broke me out of the matrix forever. These rules allowed me to scale my capital retention and digital income streams to an entirely new level. We are going to replace corporate dependency with a sovereign mindset focused on quiet ownership. If you are ready to stop giving your best hours to a company that would replace you instantly, you must change your strategy. Let's get into the blueprints. Chapter 2. Kakeibo and Cognitive Friction. To change the operating system beneath your life, you have to reintroduce a concept that modern consumerism has completely destroyed. You must deliberately introduce intentional friction into your habits. Over a century ago, a Japanese journalist designed a handwritten budgeting ledger called Kakeibo. She structured it at a time when women had almost no financial autonomy. It was designed not as a rigid balance sheet, but as an active tool for personal self-sovereignty. The core blueprint requires nothing more than a simple notebook and a pen. It breaks your entire financial existence into 4 distinct, unshakable pillars. These categories are needs, wants, culture, and unexpected expenses. Every single evening, the low-key woman sits down and records her daily transactions by hand. This practice is not about basic data entry. It is about forcing your brain into a state of acute conscious awareness. When you tap a card or use one-click checkouts, your brain's neural circuits barely register the transaction. Frictionless spending is engineered by corporations to keep your awareness completely asleep. This lack of friction leads the average person to drastically underestimate their impulse spending every month. When you write down an expense by hand, you create what behavioral psychologists call cognitive friction. This intentional slowness forces your brain to process the transaction twice. You confront it once when you make the purchase, and once when you physically ink it into your ledger. The simplicity of using just 4 categories acts as a visual filter. When you look at a purchase, you must make a conscious judgment call that no automated app can make for you. Is this restaurant meal a genuine need, or is it a want? Is this online course true culture, or is it a want dressed up in self-improvement clothing? By forcing your mind to confront these questions, you develop an unshakable mental boundary. Before you even pull out your wallet, your internal filter automatically challenges your intent. Your mind asks, do I really want to write this down tonight? If the internal answer is no, the impulse purchase dies right there. This friction doesn't limit your lifestyle. It actively protects your wealth. Chapter 3, Mottainai and the Elimination of Waste. You cannot build an elevated financial life if your energy and resources are constantly leaking through mindless waste. There is a deep psychological concept known as Mottainai, which carries no direct translation in the Western world. It represents the emotional response of regret and discomfort that arises when something useful is wasted or undervalued. In a performance-based consumer culture, waste is structurally embedded into our daily lives. We throw away food, discard clothing after a few wears, and replace perfectly functional technology constantly. We do this simply because a newer version exists in a marketing feed. The low-key woman looks at waste not as a financial choice, but as a direct violation of her self-respect. When you track what slips through the cracks of your kitchen and your closet, the numbers are genuinely shocking. Mindless overconsumption means buying items to satisfy a temporary emotional void. Practicing this mindset changes your entire relationship with everything you own. You begin to plan your resources around what you already possess instead of what sounds appealing in a moment of exhaustion. You utilize items completely before seeking a replacement. You find alternative purposes for objects before discarding them. This philosophy mirrors the ancient tradition of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold-lacquered adhesive. This technique turns the flaw into a feature of unique beauty. Apply that exact framework to your current lifestyle. The item that is slightly worn or visually imperfect still functions flawlessly and serves your vision. Recognizing that baseline utility prevents you from constantly draining your capital to fund temporary retail replacements. Chapter 4, Hara, Hachi, and the Architecture of Margin. True wealth does not live in how much you display. It lives entirely within your margin. There is an ancient ancestral principle known as Hara Hachi, which instructs individuals to stop eating when they are 80% full. The remaining 20% is not a state of deprivation, it is structural margin for your body. When you translate this practice into a comprehensive financial philosophy, it transforms how you build your life. It means you refuse to fill your budget, your closet, or your schedule to 100% capacity. Most people experience constant financial anxiety because they live at or above their maximum capacity. They consume every single dollar that enters their perimeter, leaving their financial foundation highly fragile. If you treat 80% of your income as your absolute ceiling, you automatically create an unshakable boundary where resilience can thrive. If you earn $4,000 a month after taxes, you configure your mind to live exactly as if you earn $3,200. The remaining $800 moves automatically into your wealth-building vehicles before your eyes ever see it. This sequence breaks the traditional broken cycle of earning, spending, and hoping there is something left over to save. Expenses naturally expand to fill whatever income is left exposed. By shrinking your exposed income immediately on payday, your habits automatically adapt to the remaining balance. Leaving that 20% margin completely alters your financial trajectory. Over a multi-decade timeline, the compound mathematical difference is completely undeniable. It is the literal difference between a life of chronic corporate dependency and absolute financial sovereignty. Margin turns an emergency from a terrifying catastrophe into a minor temporary inconvenience. It provides the breathing room required to spot digital opportunities and invest in your own skills. It gives you the space to execute your exit strategies without taking on desperate debt. Chapter 5: Kaizen and the Amygdala Breakthrough. When women realize they are stuck in a corporate cycle, their natural instinct is to attempt a massive, exhausting overhaul of their entire existence overnight. They try to slash their budget to zero, start 3 side businesses simultaneously, and wake up at 4 a.m. all in the same week. But neuroscience explains exactly why this aggressive approach almost always fails. Your brain's amygdala, the fear center, treats sudden, drastic lifestyle shifts as an immediate threat to your survival. This triggers intense internal resistance, burnout, and an eventual return to old comfort habits. The low-key woman uses the philosophy of Kaizen instead. This is the art of continuous, microscopic 1% improvements repeated over an extended horizon. Because a 1% shift is so small, it completely flies under your amygdala's radar. It triggers zero psychological friction, requiring almost no daily willpower to maintain. Yet, the mathematical compounding effect of these tiny movements is completely undeniable. In month 1, you reduce your external dining overhead by a simple 10%. In month 2, you elevate your automated investment allocation by a clean 1%. In month 3, you cancel a single recurring subscription you no longer interact with. In month 4, you optimize one variable bill or transition a single brand name product to a generic equivalent. Each individual choice feels entirely insignificant in the moment. But across a 12-month calendar, these micro-adjustments accumulate unnoticed. You will wake up and realize your retention rate has dramatically scaled while your lifestyle felt completely untouched. You didn't shock your system, you subtly rewired your behavior. Chapter 6: Financial Ikigai and Brand Anchoring. A budget without a deep psychological purpose is nothing more than a form of mental punishment. You cannot expect yourself to maintain discipline if you have no clear answer to the ultimate foundational question. You must know what the money is actually for. Most people accumulate capital aimlessly or spend it mindlessly because they are following external scripts. They save because they feel obligated, or they spend because an algorithm placed an alluring image in front of their eyes. To break this loop, you must define your financial ikigai. This is your ultimate reason for being, translated into economic clarity. Your purpose isn't to hit a random, arbitrary number on a screen. It is to fund the exact architecture of your personal sovereignty. Once you identify the specific private reality you are actively building, your perspective shifts, whether that means owning your time entirely or working 90 minutes a day from a sunlit space. Your path becomes clear. Every single financial decision instantly transforms into a vote for or against that vision. When your financial purpose is locked in, you no longer need to rely on exhausted willpower to stop yourself from impulse buying. The desire for temporary consumer hits naturally falls away because those items become completely irrelevant to the identity you are stepping into. You stop viewing saving as an act of limitation. You start viewing it as the active purchase of your freedom ramp. Your capital is no longer just money. It is the raw fuel for your sovereign life. Chapter 7: Wabi-Sabi and the Rejection of Consumer Trends. The entire modern consumer economy is explicitly engineered to keep you in a state of perpetual financial dissatisfaction. Retailers rely on making you feel like your current lifestyle, your wardrobe, and your spaces are constantly outdated, incomplete, and imperfect. The moment a scuff appears on a shoe, a minor scratch hits a screen, or a home trend shifts on social media, the Matrix tells you it is time to spend. It pressures you to upgrade, replace, and consume. The low-key woman deploys the deep aesthetic philosophy of Wabi-Sabi against this pressure. This is the profound appreciation for things that are imperfect, impermanent, and incomplete. It is the art of finding peace in a wooden table marked by the scratches of real life, a beautifully mended sweater, or a piece of technology that may not be the newest model but performs its task flawlessly. When you adopt this mindset, you completely cut off the financial drain caused by aesthetic dissatisfaction. You no longer care about keeping up with visual trends designed for social media validation. You take immense pride in maintaining, repairing, and fully utilizing what you already own. This directly protects thousands of dollars every year that would normally be wasted on fast fashion and seasonal home decor upgrades. It stops you from purchasing redundant consumer electronics. By finding elegance in utility and longevity, you keep your capital concentrated where it actually matters. You hold it safely inside your investment infrastructure. Chapter 8. Osoji and the Annual Financial Reset. In traditional Japanese culture, there is an end-of-year ritual known as Osoji. Families conduct an incredibly thorough, intentional deep clean of their physical spaces to clear out anything that no longer serves them. This clean allows them to enter the next cycle with absolute clarity. This is not casual spring cleaning. It is a highly conscious ritual of letting go of stagnant energy to make room for new growth. The elevated woman applies this exact ritual to her financial ecosystem once every single year. Instead of letting her accounts, subscriptions, and automated choices run on chaotic autopilot forever, she carves out a dedicated window to run a meticulous, top-down audit. She reviews her entire economic footprint with complete detachment. During this annual reset, you look at every recurring line item. You hunt down forgotten app subscriptions, evaluate creeping insurance premiums, cancel memberships that no longer align with your current identity, and rebalance your investment portfolios back to your strategic targets. It is incredibly common to find hundreds of dollars a month slipping out of your accounts entirely unnoticed. Modern billing is explicitly built to be invisible to the consumer. An annual Osoji catches every single leak, reseals your perimeter, and ensures that every dollar you control is explicitly assigned to fund your current goals. Chapter 9. Chokin and Automating Your Exit. The typical broken financial sequence follows a very predictable pattern. You earn money, spend it on bills and lifestyle wants, and then desperately hope there is a tiny fragment left over to place into savings at the end of the month. This approach completely ignores Parkinson's law, which proves that demand and spending will always naturally expand to consume whatever resource is left available. If you leave your money sitting out in your primary checking account, your mind will always find a way to justify spending it. The low-key woman operates on the strict principle of Chokin instead. This is the unshakable habit of paying your future self first. The very second capital touches your perimeter, your automated wealth-building vehicles extract your freedom percentage immediately. You do not wait to see what remains, you actively force your lifestyle to adjust to the remaining balance. The most disciplined individuals aren't relying on raw, daily willpower. They have simply engineered an automated system that removes the choice altogether. By setting your wealth transfers to execute automatically the morning after your payday, you lock down your capital before emotional exhaustion can influence your decisions. Your brain naturally and seamlessly adapts to the lower balance left in your spending account within a matter of weeks. By controlling the sequence of your operations, you transform saving from a stressful monthly negotiation into an automated background system. This system quietly builds your freedom while you sleep. Chapter 10. Shinrin-Yoku and Free Living. In consumer culture, leisure has become almost entirely synonymous with spending money. We have been conditioned to believe that to have fun, unwind, or socialize, a financial transaction must occur. We assume we need high-end dinners, retail shopping excursions, expensive concerts, or curated weekend getaways. This framework creates a reality where your moments of rest are constantly draining your financial pipeline. The low-key woman masters the art of Shinrin-Yoku or forest bathing and the broader framework of free living. This is the highly intentional choice to anchor your recreation, mental restoration, and social connection around spaces and activities that require absolutely zero financial transactions. True luxury isn't found in a crowded, expensive commercial venue. It is found in the pure, quiet ownership of your peace. Spending deep contemplative time in nature, taking long walks in beautiful spaces, reading an incredible book in the morning sun, preparing a high-vibe meal at home with friends, or journaling in a quiet park costs absolutely nothing. Yet, it provides a level of recovery that consumption can never replicate. By separating your entertainment from your wallet, you drastically lower your monthly overhead while simultaneously elevating your presence and mental health. You stop equating relaxation with spending and you start equating it with sovereign time. Chapter 11. Hansei and Sincere Reflection. The final crucial pillar that holds this entire operating system together is Hansei. This is the practice of sincere, consistent, and completely non-judgmental self-reflection. This isn't about self-criticism, guilt, or looking back at your past mistakes with shame. It is a highly structured, calm examination of your choices to understand what went well, what missed the mark, and exactly what you will adjust moving forward. At the close of every single month, you sit down in your private space with your handwritten ledger to close the loop. You look directly at the data you tracked, review your savings rate, and ask yourself 3 clear questions without judgment. Did I hit my true target? Which choices brought authentic value? And what is my exact 1% adjustment for the coming month? Without this regular check-in, habits naturally lose their alignment, budgets are abandoned, and old corporate coping mechanisms slip back into your daily routine. Hansei is the steering wheel that keeps your financial machine moving directly toward your exit ramp. It turns your relationship with money into something deeply grounded, intentional, and quiet. You are no longer guessing, worrying, or hiding from your bank statements. You are looking at your financial reality with the calm, cool eyes of an independent CEO. Chapter 12. The Matrix of Quiet Freedom. Every single one of these principles operates on the exact same law that governs the financial markets. They follow the law of compounding returns. An inexpensive notebook, a gold pen, 10 minutes of quiet evening reflection, or leaving a portion of your income completely untouched might feel incredibly small on any given Tuesday. But when these microscopic habits are stacked on top of each other day after day, month after month, they create a lifestyle that no corporate income level can ever replicate on its own. They build a fortress of absolute financial literacy. Financial literacy is the fertile soil that allows all of these habits to take root. Without it, a notebook is just paper, and a strategy is just an idea you hear in a video and forget by next weekend. True financial literacy is understanding that a dollar saved and protected is worth vastly more than a dollar earned. It arrives without corporate taxes, without external surveillance, and without burning out your life force. It is a quiet, highly organized, and deeply effective system that builds wealth the exact same way a beautiful garden grows. It expands slowly, intentionally, and with every single element placed for a definitive reason. Nothing is wasted, nothing is rushed, and nothing is performed for an audience. Think back to the version of you who felt completely trapped. You might remember sitting at a desk or in a parking lot surrounded by retail items bought to soothe corporate exhaustion. You were stressing over an unaligned lifestyle and carrying balances that caused an internal weight every time the banking app was opened. That version of you didn't need a massive, sudden injection of income. She needed a fundamentally different philosophy. She needed to learn that true wealth isn't built by performing for an audience. It is secured by understanding your math in the dark. The lifestyle adjustments follow the understanding, the habits reinforce the system, and the physical results manifest perfectly from the habits. This architecture has survived cultural shifts and economic collapses for generations because it is built on universal human psychology and clean math. You do not need an enormous corporate paycheck to begin stepping into your personal sovereignty. You may already control exactly enough right now. You simply need the quiet discipline to pull out a notebook, pick up a pen, and pay absolute, unbothered attention to where your energy and your capital are going. That is the exact point where the matrix breaks. That is where your freedom begins.